Hi everyone, welcome to the team, welcome to the office. It is the first Friday of the month. It's October the 4th, and in October we celebrate World Mental Health Awareness Day on Thursday the 10th. Um, I'm joined here with my friends and colleague. I'll let them do their own introductions.
Hi, I'm Catherine.
I'm Chris.
And we're Team ManHealth. Paul can't be with us at the moment; he's out and about. Um, but we wanted to just do something really off the cuff, I suppose, and a little bit unrehearsed and unprepared. So I'm just going to throw some information around mental health to the guys and get their thoughts. Great to have a women's perspective. And Chris, I think, as a long-standing member of ManHealth, we always talk about how many men we've seen in our peer support groups, but I think you've probably seen more than most because you go to quite a few
Yes,
groups.
yes, I've been to more groups than anyone, and I would say yes.
So as much insight as anyone. So guys, Mental Health Awareness Day. Um, we do training sessions, obviously, and when we research these training sessions, we come across some interesting sort of stats, some interesting thoughts, some interesting things. So one of the things I just threw out there, it's mental health is now the most likely reason why someone's going to be off work. It's the most common disability. So if you are watching from an organisation, the most likely thing that your staff will be absent from work for is going to be mental health related, which is a quite a stat in itself, isn't it? 1.2 million people currently on waiting lists for mental health services in the UK. This probably doesn't come as a huge surprise to you. Um, but yeah, what's your initial sort of thoughts on that? That's them on the spot, isn't it? Yeah, that's
Yes,
them
well,
on the
if you're
spot.
not feeling very well mentally, you're not going to be wanting to go to work, and you're not going to interact with your work colleagues. You're going to feel out of place, aren't you?
I think so as well, and I think that the value that we place on our jobs and what we do, I think probably, I think it'll work for men and women. That sometimes that value that you place is a stressor enough sometimes that when you're not feeling in the right place and you worry that if you open up at work as well that this might lose your job or you might be seen differently. So I think that in general, the focus, the best place to try and tackle this and help people is at work.
Yeah, it's really interesting, Catherine, hearing that. So a stat that we came across, just under half, 49% of people think that disclosing a mental health issue at work might impact their chances of promotion. So that that's a stat that we talk about from a men's health point of view, but you recognise that in women as well.
Absolutely, I think. I mean, as being part of Team Man Health, we do promote that we've all had that bit lived experience and that we can relate to these people. And I've absolutely been in that place, especially after having the children. And I had a little bit of postnatal depression after Alfie, and I only had 3 months off work because when I fell pregnant, I'd started a new job. And absolutely going back to work, I was struggling. I didn't know my place in the team. It was a really not a very nice time for us. I did not dare say anything, and I suppose as well as I had a male boss at the time as well, and it was a very male oriented department. So for me to have to go and disclose that to somebody as well who openly didn't understand that sort of thing anyway with the attitudes and the behaviours in the workforce that was in at the time. And I think men would get that as well because a lot of HR people and things are women. So a man having to go to a woman sometimes in a workplace environment is I suppose could be quite difficult as well, even though women are obviously mostly the catalyst of men seeking help. I think when it's in a workplace environment, I think that might be a bit different. Do you think so?
I think that's probably right. Speaking from a bloke's point of view, I don't know how comfortable I would be approaching a female HR advisor or female occupational health or something like that. And I think that's replicated in what we see when we do our training. And again, the stats kind of back it up from research. The most likely person that men will reach out to speak to in the workplace, 28% was the biggest answer. 28% said nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody came up higher than line manager, team leader, HR, mental health first aiders. The top answer that blokes would speak to at work if they were struggling with their mental health, 28%, nobody. Scary, isn't it? And
I don't think
yeah.
it matters whether it's a man or a woman. It depends how the person is.
I think it's the safety of the environment as well, and I think if workplaces massively show that this is a safe place to open up and talk, men will talk, women will talk, but it's like, I know we've had a conversation earlier on about how we interact with our friends and our groups and things. Like I know we promote that men will talk if they're in that right environment and they're in a safe space, they will open up. I think as a woman, there's sometimes in my friendship groups, even my work friendship groups, I would find it very difficult to sit and say to you, I'm not coping here, I'm struggling. I think I would kind of internalise that and keep that to myself rather than say I'm failing here. And we've got massive support. We advocates for it as well. So I think there's a lot of work that organisations can do that perhaps they think they're doing, but there's some gaps there. I think.
So it's dead interesting to sort of. Men and women are not that different in some respects, are they? They're very different in some ways and not that different in some others. So what we've got with, if we just pull at this thread, and I'm doing what I always do, and the guys will recognise this. I'm going off with a thought, and I haven't entirely decided where that thought's going to end up yet, but I'm going to go with it. So what we've got is a situation where, if we look at men in particular and women, we think that they value work. And we know from research that men do value work, that they promote their importance at work over all things else, including looking after themselves from a physical health, mental health point of view. They value work above all else in many instances. That work brings with it stresses and strains where they need help, and the place where they're least likely to get that help is in work. So it's a perpetual cycle, isn't it, where if something is particularly precious to you and valuable to you, you don't want to risk that. You don't want to jeopardize that. You don't want to have a potential impact on promotion. You don't want your boss thinking differently of you. You don't want your colleagues thinking differently of you. So anything that threatens that thing that is most valuable to you, i.e. your work, if there's a risk to that, you're not going to show any vulnerability. You're not going to show anything. So work is... I nearly slipped it. My hero is Homer Simpson, as everyone will know, and Homer says alcohol the cause of and solution to all of life's problems. You know, that's one of his famous quotes. But you could argue that work is in a lot of instances the cause of and the solution to a lot of problems, because we know that men being at work is good for them. They're keeping productive, they're contributing, it gives them purpose, it helps steady their mental health. So it's that. I'm rambling now. I'm going to shut up and hand over.
You're right.
But that cycle.
Everyone does need a purpose, yes. So men especially.
Yeah. That I think in my head that makes sense. But it shows how important that workplaces are. The front line of the battle in good mental health and maintaining good mental health is the workplaces. It's the place where we know men feel most safe and women feel more safe. So people feel more safe, but it's also because they feel more safe, it's the thing that they don't want to destabilise, they don't want to rock, so they're least likely to reach out for support in work as well.
Yeah, and I think we talk a lot about how we like to be proactive rather than reactive. So if work is this purpose that we've got and this value we place on that, then organisations are perfectly placed to be reactive and to get these issues upstream rather than try and deal with the problem once it's happened. Yeah.
Great. Well, those are the unrehearsed and unplanned thoughts of Team ManHealth in our office today. Let us know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Have we overlooked something? Is there something that we are not factoring into our conversation in our heads? Any insights that you might have? We'll be really keen to hear them. But it's all part of starting a conversation, and we want to tap into and utilize the fact that next Thursday, the 10th of October, World Mental Health Day. I always get the title wrong, so I have to look at my notes. World Mental Health Day. Let's have the conversations and open up and normalize these discussions. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to have prepared anything. You don't need to have rehearsed anything. And hopefully we've just proved that. So keep in touch with ManHealth. Let us know, and let us know what you're doing to support the men and women in your workplaces for World Mental Health Day next week. Okay. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Right, come watch out.